Shabbat Shalom. I'm Cantor David Prozer of Kempsville Conservative Synagogue, Kehillat Bet HaMidrash in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And this is our Torah portion commentary for Saturday, December 19th, 2020, corresponding to the fourth day of the Hebrew month of Tevet, 5781. As you notice the change of scenery, this week we're coming to you from the library at KBH. We thank Rabbi Joseph Prauser, Rabbi Joyce Newmark, Rabbi Michael Gold, and the United Synagogue Torah Spark series for their various teachings and publications on this week's Parsha. This Shabbat, December 19th, we read the Parsha of Miketz in the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis. It begins on page 250 of the Eitz Chaim Chumash and page 155 of the Hertz. We ended last week's Parsha learning that Yosef had the ability to interpret dreams. This week's Parsha begins after Yosef had spent 2 more years in prison since interpreting the dreams of Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. Pharaoh is disturbed by dreams that his advisors are unable to interpret. Dreams of 7 fat, healthy cows being consumed by 7 lean and sickly cows, and dreams of 7 solid, wholesome ears of corn being consumed by 7 wilted, malformed ears. Pharaoh's chief cupbearer remembers Yosef and his ability to interpret dreams accurately and informs Pharaoh of this talent. Yosef, released from prison and brought before Pharaoh, insists the dreams are God's way of predicting 7 years of plenty to be followed by 7 years of famine. He advises Pharaoh to appoint a man of discernment and wisdom to oversee collection and storage of surplus food in the prosperous years so that it will be available in the years of famine. Pharaoh sees the wisdom of the plan and appoints Yosef as viceroy over Egypt, granting him all but unlimited power over Egypt. Yosef orders the collection of grain in vast quantities. During this period, Yosef marries Asnat, daughter of Poti-Pherah, priest of On. 2 sons are born, Menashe and Ephraim. Their names reflect the dramatic change of fortune in Yosef's life. After the 7 years of plenty have passed, the famine begins in Egypt, and the plan works successfully, as Yosef had planned. Meanwhile, back in Canaan, the famine had eventually spread there too. Yaakov instructs his sons to travel to Egypt to acquire provisions. 10 sons go to Egypt, leaving Binyamin, the youngest, home with Yaakov. When they arrive, they gain an audience with the viceroy, Yosef, to purchase food. Yosef recognizes them, although they do not recognize him, and he treats them harshly, accusing them of being spies. Hearing them describe their family background, he insists that they bring their youngest brother to Egypt to demonstrate the truth of what they have told him. He imprisons the brothers, releasing all but Shimon on the condition that they return with Binyamin, and he orders that they be given grain and other provisions for their journey home. He also secretly has their money returned. Finding the money, they fear that they will be accused of theft. Arriving home, the brothers tell Yaakov of their experiences, explaining Shimon's predicament and the need to return to Egypt with Binyamin. Yaakov laments the prospect of losing his youngest son. After all, he has already lost 1 son, and he refuses to part with him. However, the famine continues, impelling Yaakov to send his sons back to Egypt. Yehuda takes personal responsibility for Binyamin's safety and receives Yaakov's blessing. The brothers bring gifts and the mysteriously returned money back to Egypt to be presented to Yosef, whose true identity remains concealed. They are received generously and brought to Yosef's home for a feast. Yosef greets his guests and asks about their father's well-being, greets Binyamin, and then, overcome by emotion, briefly absents himself. Several hints about Yosef's identity go unheeded. First, he is served food apart from other Egyptians, in keeping with particularistic Egyptian taboos. Next, Binyamin is given specially generous portions, and Yosef has his brothers seated in age order. The brothers depart with generous amounts of grain. In a final test, Yosef orders his silver goblet planted in Binyamin's sack, and the brothers are arrested and returned to Egypt. The Parsha concludes with a cliffhanger. Yehuda and his brothers maintain their innocence, but submit themselves to Yosef's judgment as his slaves. Yosef insists, "Only he in whose possession the goblet was found shall be my slave. The rest of you may go back in peace to your father." The Haftorah for this week is from the book of 1 Kings, verses 3:15 through 4:1, beginning on page 271 of the Eitz Chaim Chumash and page 167 of the Hertz. It contains a familiar story about the wisdom of King Solomon when he had to decide who was the true mother of a baby that two women each claimed as their own. The tie-in to the Parsha is that the Haftorah begins with King Shlomo awakening from a dream in which he requests and receives divine wisdom to judge the nation. Just as our Parsha began with Pharaoh awakening from a dream that Yosef interpreted as a foretelling of the famine to come in Egypt. The importance of royal dreams for national and individual destiny further connect the two readings. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe, to like, to hit the notification button below, and please feel free to leave comments. Thank you again. Shabbat Shalom.